bare bottom helped Britain win World War I.
He looks really different with his suit off, doesn't he? Like, you wouldn't even know that was him.
Give us a clue about the man. Did something go into his bottom or come out of it?
Well... The man is called William Lawrence Bragg. He was a physicist. He was a Nobel laureate. In fact, he remains the youngest recipient of the Nobel Prize. He received it in 1915, along with his father, his famous physicist. In 1915, he was serving as a subaltern in Flanders, trying to find out ways to use sound to locate enemy artillery. So one day, he's sitting on the latrine at the house where he was billeted, a tight little closet with no window at all, and he'd shut the door, and so that there was no other opening to the outside world apart from the one that he was sitting on. And he noticed that when there was gunfire nearby, his backside momentarily lifted off the seat. Even when he didn't really hear the explosion, there was a sort of a thing like this. And meanwhile, another physicist he was working with, a man called William Tucker, was billeted in a tar paper hut, and he noticed that by his cot there were just a couple of little holes, and even on a day when there was no wind, little puffs of air were blowing through. And they compared notes, the two, and the one from the loo and one from these two little holes, and they deduced that this was the result of inaudible, low-frequency sounds of artillery. And they set about devising detectors, and by 1917 it was so advanced that the Allies had a really devastating advantage in locating and targeting enemy guns. And it all came about because his backside lifted off the lavatory.
This is maybe the most inspiring story I've ever heard.
About a lavatory?
About a men's toilet and holes in a wall. Normally, these end super differently.
Yeah.
Normally, it's and they had to shut down that garage. and did they have to use his specific arse on all of
No,
this?
I
didn't have to go around the whole... Oh, so there.
But that's how he discovered it. There are still 40,000 outside lavatories in the UK.
I'm surprised they've not all been turned into serial cafes or something. That's the sort of thing that people keep doing now, turning toilets into bars.
Yeah, there's one not far from here.
Yeah?
It's a toilet.
Turn into a bar.
It's called the toilet, I think.
I think he said that's the one that he said.
Where you go to the loo, God knows. You can go up in the street and do it up the side of a pub. Like...
There used to be a thing when people were peeing up the sides of buildings. Boys, let's be honest, boys peeing outside buildings.
And talented girls.
Yeah, very talented girls. Lots of London buildings had special tilted metal bars so that if somebody did pee against it, the pee would splash back on the person's shoes. The most southerly public loo in Britain is on the island of the Minkies. Here's a picture of it. It says, this toilet has the distinction of being the most southern building in the British Isles. Please use with care, as the nearest alternative is in Jersey, which is 11 miles away.
It looks like those rocks are leaning against the toilet.
They're queuing up, doesn't it?
It does look like a queue, doesn't it? They've solidified waiting. Rather than getting to business, we should do the opposite and have some fun. So I've got some Alka-Pops like this. I've got some... Look at these. There's your balloons.
Thank you.
I've got Fun's chocolates.
Thank you.
There's another balloon for you. OK. So, here's the thing.
Drop mine, I'll drop
It's party time. Oh, you dropped your balloon.
Jimmy's going to be a
Hang on a
Billy.
minute.
No, don't.
If you just... Could you hold up the red balloon for a second there, because it'll look like a Banksy. There you go.
Right, so it's party time, OK?
Oh, yeah. Here we go.
You are driving home from the shops. You are so excited. That's good, isn't it, Colin?
Oh, that's me.
Yeah, isn't that lovely? You're so excited that, unfortunately, you crash into a tree.
Oh.
Yeah. I want to know what happens to the helium balloons.
Well, I'm more worried about him.
What about me?
Yes.
What about me? That's quite
If the
hard.
helium balloons pop and then you ring the ambulance, they won't believe you. They'll think you're doing a prank call.
That's
You sound like a silly boy.
Yes.
Alan, what were you going to say?
They're going to keep going?
Which way?
Up.
Would they...
Is it something to do with the airbag? Because the airbag's going to get released and then there's another gas in the car. So do they fall in love? And run away together?
No, it's nothing to do with the airbag. So helium, less dense than air.
Yeah.
All right. So everything else is going to get thrown forward. The Alka-Pops is going to get thrown forward. The chocolate's going to get thrown...
They stay still. watching the show.
They go down. They go down.
They go backwards.
They go backwards.
They go backwards. They go backwards. They go backwards. They go backwards.
Then,
They go backwards.
when you accelerate, what's going to happen to the helium balloon? Because the helium balloon's gone backwards.
They
They're
go
gonna
sideways.
Go the same. They're going to go
Forwards.
Yes, they're going to go forwards, exactly. OK, so enough party time. Let's put things away. Because there's a limit to the amount of fun you're allowed. There you go. OK. Animal gets the lion's share of online viewing.
I don't know, but that horse looks like Donald Trump.
We had a cat who used to watch the telly. He watched a documentary about urban foxes. And he watched the whole programme with his paws up on the back of the chair looking at it like this. And about 6 months later, they repeated it.
Yeah.
And he watched it all again. And every time a fox went out of the side, he went like that.
Probably birds as well. Birds probably watch a lot of TV because they're in the room, aren't they?
What about people who hang their budgie by the window so it can see the other birds outside?
Yeah, that's what I
Isn't that not the definition of evil?
Anyway, none of this is what I wanted to talk about.
Is it lions?
Yes, no. Surprising.
Blue whale.
No. Surprisingly, there are more dog videos on YouTube than there are cat videos. So people always talk about cat videos. 65.9 million dog videos versus 65.3 million cats. The dog's just got the edge there. Why do we think that might be?
Dogs are better than cats. Oh, that's the most controversial thing ever said in the studio.
Yeah. I'm with you, Carrie Ann.
Thank you.
Yeah,
That's the Brexit of the pet world. In England, people would care more about that than they did about Brexit.
Yeah.
If you start slagging off dogs or cats.
Yeah.
Let's try it. People who like cats say cats. People who like dogs say dogs.
People who like Brexit say Brexit.
People who like people say people.
That's me.
Nothing.
Hardly anything. I have to say that Google tells a different story than YouTube. There are 2.2 billion pages about cats compared to 1.8 billion about dogs.
Yeah, people
so
going, why are cats shit? Why did I get a cat? How can I get rid of this cat?
Did a cat slap you when you were a baby?
While we're on the subject of Hell's Angels, we're now going to play...
Where the hell's the apostrophe?
Can you pick that board up there, darling?
Certainly.
So what I want you to do, we have written on it for you, Alan, Hell's Angels.
Hell's
I want you to
Angels.
put the apostrophe in the correct place, please.
OK. Is it going to be angels belonging to hell?
Yeah.
That's it, isn't it?
No?
Oh, you ruined it, flipping...
It's bound to happen,
I
wasn't
hadn't
it?
even done it.
I know.
We were so keen.
After the
Go
S
on,
up
yeah.
there, then.
Try that, yeah, go on.
Yeah.
Go for it. Oh, I don't know, then.
No, it's
There
a
isn't
trick.
one.
There
Why
isn't
isn't
one.
there
There
one?
isn't one. They don't want one.
Oh, they don't want one.
No, and who's going to argue with them, frankly?
I've got off them.
Until recently, they had a note in the FAQs of their official website. Should the Hells in Hell's Angels have an apostrophe and be Hell apostrophe S Angels? That would be true if there were only one Hell, but life and history has taught us that there are many versions and forms of Hell. Then people still carried on criticising them and saying it should be Hells and apostrophe after the S. And so it's since been amended, and it now says missing apostrophe in Hell's Angels. Yes, we know that there is an apostrophe missing, but it is you who miss it. We don't.
That's the kind of punctuation-based rebellion that we... Every time I put on my leather jacket, I think, yeah, to hell with punctuation.
Taking it to the man, one apostrophe at a time.
Yeah.
Setting
Us
a
and the
poor,
market stall traders.
setting a poor grammatical example. That's the way we roll. Hell's Angels founded in 1948. Some of the gangs that amalgamated together, one of them was called the Pissed Off Bastards of Bloomington. Maybe too difficult to get on a jacket. I think
That's a lot of stabs.
Really good. Anybody know where the name Hell's Angels comes from? Origin?
Is it Paradise Lost or something?
It's a film, actually, by Howard Hughes.
Apostrophe! Apostrophe!
So the American air squadrons in World War II, which is probably where the motorcycle gangs got it from, but pilots got it from the Howard Hughes film.
Oh, right.
Hell's Angels are fierce in the defence of their trademark. They've sued Disney and Toys R Us and so on.
You can't wear... The back patches in general are frowned upon. If you're at a motorcycle, if you're wearing a back patch and it's not an official registered one, you can get into trouble.
Can you?
Yeah. When I was young, the Coggeshall bastards were the local one. They were so tough that they sued the leather jacket because they thought that was a bit of feet.
Oh.
So they wore Pacamacs and Wellingtons on their back. That was the myth. They were so hard, their skin didn't need leather protection. Yeah.
I love the idea of the sound of a Pacamac rustling in the wind.
You can get good slogans. I was at the motorcycle show once and there's a T-shirt and it said on the back, if you can read this, the bitch fell off.
About to post.
A letter. Got it there, everyone?
Yeah.
Is he about to post a Movember selfie on Facebook?
No, which is the most extraordinary thing. He's about to post himself.
Is he?
Yeah. His name is Willie Reginald Bray. He was also known as the Human Letter. He was an eccentric gentleman who spent his entire life pushing the British Post Office to their absolute limits. And he started by sending unwrapped stamped objects to himself to see how that would go. So he sent a shirt collar and a half-smoked cigar. That's him actually posting onions on the right there. And almost all of it got through without any trouble at all, so he began to experiment. He wrote to any resident of London. There it is, any resident of London. Sadly, that was rejected, insufficiently addressed. But he did get his mother to crochet the address, and that was accepted. And he also wrote the address in mirror writing, and that was also accepted. And then, finally, he sent himself through the post and shipped himself to his father, and there's his rather irritated father receiving him. Then he decided to build the world's largest collection of autographs. He wrote to the Reichstag in Germany. So many times there's a letter back from Adolf Hitler's office. Please, can you stop sending letters? The Fuhrer's quite busy.
What if that finally pushed Hitler over the edge?
Yeah.
As I say, a lot of them these days very different country.
Yeah. Just keep digging that hole there, Richard.
It's not a hole, it's a trench. I'm just saying keep an eye on them, that's all I'm saying.
Right, moving on. Which ferocious beast is the world's most successful hunter?
Wait, hold on. What is happening?
Is that Philip Green?
It looks like you've gone to a fancy dress party dressed as Captain Mannering.
It's terrifying. So, for most ferocious... It starts with an O. What ferocious beast is the world's most successful hunter?
Well,
starts
hunter.
with an O.
Because hippos are really dangerous, aren't they?
It starts with an H.
Oh, yeah.
Orangutans. Otters.
Ostrich.
No, it's...
The audience have offered up octopus.
Octopus is not it either.
Not as easy as
It is the creature that belongs to the order Odonata, so it is dragonflies. Dragonflies are
What, they're killer?
the most successful hunters.
Oh, right.
They are thought to have the highest hunting success rate of any hunting creature on Earth. It's between 90 and 95% success rate. And here is the unbelievable thing. They don't track their prey, they intercept it. They calculate where the prey is going to be in the future. So instead of chasing it like a lion might, they fly to where it's going to be and catch it there. So let's have a quick look. So there it is. It just seems to be minding its own business. And off it goes to catch its prey. Whoa. Now, let's have another look, because let's be really clear about where the prey was coming from. So have a look up in the red box, and you see the prey is coming in, and he's not flying towards it, he's flying away from it and over to the right and catches it. And it's the same thing that humans use to predict the future when they're catching a ball, but we don't really know how they're able to do it. There's a downside to being a dragonfly, I think, is the mating is very, very odd. Yeah. So the male is a dick. What does that mean? The male is a dick.
It's got two dicks!
Yeah.
2 dicks!
Well done, Nish. So the male has got 2 sets of sexual organs. So before inseminating the female, he sort of has to inseminate himself. He transfers sperm
I did that as well.
Transfers sperm from his testes to his sperm pouch and then to his penis. He's still not ready to inseminate because he's got a sort of shovel-shaped penis and he uses it to scrape out any sperm from other males before he then... yes.
Who is clapping that? One bloke.
There's a theory that is why the male penis is shaped that way, to remove any sperm, because they are assuming that woman probably has had sex with someone else.
So it's a scraper?
Yeah, it's a scraper.
Very useful in the winter if your car's frosted over.
I could do a wing mirror.
What's the scariest thing about this? Isn't that incredible? What is the most scary thing about it?
The teeth. The fact that they can't go backwards. I'm sorry, that takes them a bit long to type.
Scary is subjective, really, isn't
What
it?
is the scariest? Well, our perception of sharks is apparently shaped by footage in nature documentaries, which tends to be accompanied by ominous music. So the thing that really scares you in it is ominous music. So they did a study at the University of California, and they showed 3 clips of sharks to participants. So the one we've just seen with the ominous music. Here's one with silence.
Hello, my friend.
Have a look at this. Do you know what? There's a whole show for you, Alan. In just doing fish impersonations. We had the trout faking her orgasm last series.
We've done that. Different orgasm, same trout.
Can you do shark who then has an orgasm? Can you combine? Mildly surprised.
Because they don't know they're going to have an orgasm. They haven't learnt about orgasms or experimented with themselves, I imagine. And then when they have an orgasm the first time, it must be very alarming.
My worry is watching you do them, that you haven't seen someone have one before.
When they do it for the second or the third time, then they're much more...
Is everything okay at home, Alan?
Anyway, let's have a look at the same clip with uplifting music. But here's the thing, they aren't actually that dangerous, and the thought is that the ominous nature of documentaries leads the public to have a distrust of sharks, and that in turn harms their conservation funding. The truth is, sharks kill worldwide about 6 people a year, and the same number are killed by livestock in Britain alone. So a cow more likely to do you in than a shark. Moving on, where's this guy going with that ox, and what's he going to do when he gets there?
Is it like an early boombox?
I can tell you, as you can see, because he's able to lift it, that the cow has been hollowed out, and why might...
Is it before the invention of birthday cakes? People used to get strippers to jump out of cows.
Yes, it's that.
Not at a Hindu wedding.
I hate to say this, but if someone's inviting a stripper to a wedding, that wedding... Is it to scare off animal?
It's
another
quite the
animal?
reverse. It's to be able
To encourage.
It's to be able to hide. This is Richard Kearton. He's one of the world's first wildlife photographers. So before the telephoto lens, in order to get a close-up, you literally had to get close up. So if you wanted to take, for example, a photograph of a bird's nest with eggs in it, this is Richard and his brother Cherry Kearton. Cherry, I know. They went, Richard, let's have something different. Cherry. Richard and Cherry, pioneers of wildlife photography, they bought an ox from a butcher. They got a taxidermist to hollow it out, and they hid themselves in the ox with a lens sticking through a hole. And one day, apparently, Richard fainted inside the ox, and it fell over, and his brother...
That's brilliant. That's so good.
Cherry turned up an hour later and took the photo before he got his brother out. They more or less invented professional nature photography. Their subjects range from everything from flowers in the Yorkshire Dales to lion hunts in Africa. And before them, most nature photographs were stuffed animals placed in natural surroundings. But you can see they abseiled down cliffs. They had those astonishing fragile box cameras slung to their backs.
He's hot. Like, I'm not going to... Come on.
You think?
Yeah.
Cherry Kearton became the Attenborough of his age. He moved into wildlife documentaries.
Here, from inside the ox.
Lots of words called orphaned negative. So these are words that have the opposites, but nobody uses them. They're now obsolete. So what would be the opposite of ineffable?
Effable.
Effable, but nobody ever uses as a perfectly good word, isn't it?
I've heard people say that.
Effable's not effable?
Oh, he's got nice trousers on today. He's totally effable.
Yeah, well, funny, and thank you. I really appreciate it. They're very roomy.
No, there are lots of good ones. Incessant. So cessant. Nobody talks about cessant anymore. Well, this is the weird thing about this word, OK? What it tells you in the dictionary is that cessant hasn't been used since 1701. What happened that year? They thought, you know, I'm done with that word.
For you, what about disdain?
Oh, yes,
Because
the opposite of being a good Dane. Yes,
Yeah.
a disdain.
Disdain, Dane.
Disdain.
Yeah. Innocent? Anybody?
Yesn't.
Innocent.
Innocent. So innocent, yeah, innocent was a criminal.
Innocent.
Until about the 17th century, so nocentum, Latin meaning to harm.
Is nonchalant?
Chalant.
Chalant.
Yes. I'm going to refer to you as Chalant. I like that. I think that sounds rather good. Yeah, Chalant and effable.
Stopping you.
To be fair, Jimmy, I had to have it pointed out to me. Inflammable?
Oh, I hate... Inflammable and flammable.
Same thing.
It is exactly the same thing. It's not an orphan negative at all. In fact, the opposite of flammable is non-flammable.
Explosive.
I beg your pardon?
Just reading.
Oh, explosive. It used to be inflammable because it comes from the Latin inflammare, but they adopted flammable deliberately in the 20th century because, honestly, inflammable seemed ambiguous, so that is one of the reasons why we now say flammable and then non-flammable.
Right.
Anybody know what a contronym is?
Oh, so it's like... So got synonym?
Yeah.
Antonym.
Antonyms, yes. So it's a word that is also its own opposite. So screen, which means to show, like screen a film, and screen also means to hide. Another example, bound. So fastened to the spot and also heading somewhere.
Oh, that's good.
They're good, aren't they? Consonants. They're really... See, you like this? Fast, so moving quickly, and stuck and unable to move. It's the...
And also, I always thought with fast food, the fast is not to eat, and then also to eat loads really cheaply.
Yeah, there you go.
I think we may need marijuana for this.
Yeah.
It looks to me like this should be a conversation that happens at, like, yeah, man, fast.
Yeah.
But no, man, fast food.
I love that your impression of someone on drugs means you've never taken them.
Antigrams. Anybody know what an antigram is?
It is the opposite of a gram.
So these are words where if you do an anagram, the anagram itself has the opposite meaning to the original word. So
Impossible.
Yeah. Dormitories, tidier rooms is one. There's one. Customers, I like this one. The anagram is store scum.
There's a few people out there working retail.
Here's another one. An anagram, a volunteer fireman. I never run to a flame. And 45 is an anagram of over 50. It's just a woman lying, basically. Now, what definitely won't happen to you when you sneeze?
You won't have a 16th of an orgasm.
Isn't it a 10th?
Is it a 10th?
That might be inflation, I don't know.
Is there a little thrill to be had from sneezing?
Apparently, well, that was the myth, that if you sneezed, you just go...
You can't physically sneeze with your eyes open, isn't that right?
Yeah, well, we did say that sneezing with your eyes open can't make them pop out, but in fact, that is not entirely correct. If you have something called floppy eyelid syndrome, a sneeze can, in fact, force your eyeball out of your socket.
And we're all going to have a go.
Like this. So it'll be like that, and then you... And out, say... So there's a technical name for it. So if your eyeball actually pops out spontaneous... Spontaneous globe luxation is what it's called. So mostly obese men get this syndrome where your eyelid can pop out, so the upper eyelid becomes very floppy and it's easily turned inside out. What would the medical advice be if your eyeball popped out?
Oh.
Pop it
Put
back.
it on ice.
Get it back in as quickly as possible. Yeah, no, don't put it on ice. I think it's still attached, most likely. Right?
If it's still attached, look round corners that you couldn't previously look round.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Keeping an eye on you. I think the main advice is to get a medical person to do it, don't you? And apparently they use a tool that looks a bit like a bent paperclip, which I think could be... Yes! It has happened. There was an American basketball player called Akil Mitchell in early 2017.
No.
He got poked in the eye during a game. He fell to the ground. He was clutching his face. And he described afterwards he knew something was wrong because he could feel his eyeball on his cheek and could still see out of his eye.
Oh, my God.
Have they popped it back
They
in
popped
all
back.
right?
He's absolutely fine now.
Can you just do it with your finger? Do you need the paper?
No, you do, my
clips
advice
in?
is to...
If it
Honestly,
happens...
this is a moment for a doctor. Please. Now, which king appeared on the first British Christmas stamp?
George V. Wenceslas.
Yes. Yes. Right, so in 1963, the then Postmaster General was Tony Benn, and he launched a competition in conjunction with Blue Peter and the Post Office to design Britain's very first Christmas stamp. And 6-year-old Tasvia Shemza, that's her there on the right, she won with a Good King Wenceslas design. And James Berry, next to her, he got a 1 6 stamp, but here is her stamp. So he was the only king on the stamp, because, of course, the monarch is Queen Elizabeth II. And Tasvia is in the audience. There she is. There she is, all grown up. Oh. Congratulations.
That's the longest round of applause we've ever had for anything. I love your stamp.
Tasvia, was the picture based on anybody?
Well, it was indeed, yes. It's not King Wenceslas, as people say. It was actually a picture of my dad.
Oh, a picture of your dad! Oh, there he is. I think you did very well with that.
Sorry, if your dad is wearing that hat, I think he's a bit above his station, isn't he?
What I love about this is the stamp was issued in 1966. So, in fact, Daleks, which were introduced in 1963, are an older Christmas tradition than Christmas stamps here in the UK. How might the CIA win the Cold War with this? OK, so I've got one for each of you. You should have one sitting there.
Yes,
So
we do have
it is like the old arcade game. So one of you presses the things to try and fox the other. That's it. And one of you has to grab it. There's no point just... That's it. Grab the thing. Oh, Bill, very good. Have you got that? Yeah.
I have to do that. I'm not doing it. I'm not
Keep going. Keep harder, harder. That's it.
Are you regretting giving us these?
I am now, yes. So...
It's not like Kazakh lottery or something.
No, it's not the lottery. What other bits of the game might you use if it wasn't the balls for the lottery?
The grabber.
The grabber, yes. So the CIA, what would they use it for?
Torture.
Grabbing the balls of a spine.
Yes.
Torture.
Yeah, no, it's not that at all. We're going to head to an O area. We're going to go to oceanography.
Oceanography.
OK, and using a...
getting submarines.
Yes!
out.
Yes!
No!
Yes! Absolutely right! Yes! That is absolutely right. The CIA used the biggest claw grab ever constructed to get hold of a Soviet strategic ballistic missile submarine which had sunk in the Pacific. So, in 1968, they began Project Azorian, and the aim was to recover the Soviet sub, K-129, and they got a ship called the Hughes Glomar Explorer. And from the outside, it looked just like any other ship, but in the middle, the major portion of the hull could be opened up underwater to reveal a vast...
Oh, my God.
It really is like a movie. Look at that.
Wow.
To reveal a vast internal... they called it a moon pool.
Does the boat not sink at that point?
Apparently not. And they put down the largest, so exactly like you've got in the game, the largest grabbing claw.
Like one of these?
Yep. Nicknamed Clementine. And they put it right over the wreck. But what always happens in these arcade games when you grab something?
There's no grip.
Yeah.
Then it's immediately released and you get the bunny you didn't want.
Yes, that is exactly what happened.
They got a bunny.
Well, an underwater rabbit.
Oh, thank God. I thought no one was going to come.
I thought you were going to say that nobody on the boat had any change.
Yeah.
They were like...
No, halfway up, they dropped it. Two-thirds of it actually broke away. So they did manage to get a third of it, which fortunately had 2 nuclear torpedoes on it and a, cheap watch.
They nearly dropped those then. That would have been...
That would have been bad.
But where was this then?
In the North Pacific.
Wait a minute, is this true?
Yes, it's absolutely true. Happened in 1968. Yes.
This is an amazing show.
And then there was another experiment where they had these nuclear silos and they kept popping. They didn't know which missile that the silo was going to come out of. So they got a giant hammer and they just tried to whack it. And it's called Whack-a-Nuke.
Talking about amusement arcades, the claw machines, March 2017, a 3-year-old Irish boy called Jamie Bracken Murphy, he so wanted a furry dinosaur that he climbed up the dispensing chute and into the machine.
They're going to try. There's a child there. There's a child there. They grab him out.
Get him out the thing. He wouldn't come out without the dinosaurs. He'd got 2 furry dinosaurs. So, in the end, he was rescued by a passing fireman and he was allowed to keep the dinosaurs, but I think so he should be. Why is the second smelliest man in the world so frustrated?
Is he frustrated because everyone's like, boy, you must be the smelliest person in the world? And he's like, yeah, you'd think.
You'd think.
Do I have a certificate? No.
Is it Boris Johnson?
It's a cattle herder from India called Kailash Singh. He stopped washing in 1974 because a priest told him that he would have a son if he didn't bathe or cut his hair. So it's 40 years later, he hasn't had a single bath or a shower. He's got 6-foot-long dreadlocks. He's father to 7 daughters and no boys. Can you believe he's had sex at all? It's breathtaking. There's the lovely place of Varanasi on the banks of the Ganges there, where he lives. His family did once try and force him to bathe in the river, but he fought them off and said he would rather die.
So they killed him?
Yeah. But he now says he's going to wash in the next life. Oh. That's his plan. But he is only the second smelliest man in the world. The person currently believed to be the most unwashed man in the world is Amul Haji. We don't have a picture of him. I don't think it would be too much for the camera.
No photographer can get near enough.
Use a zoom! It's too much! The lens is fogging!
He hasn't washed for over 60 years. He lives, not surprisingly, in a remote village.
You'd have to be like the cheaters. You'd have to set up a camera and then try and
Where's his village?
He lives in southern Iran and he lives on roadkill. He gets more and more attractive as you go through. He particularly likes porcupine and he smokes animal dung in his pipe. And if he needs a haircut, he burns his hair off with fire.
Hey, stop looking at me.
It's time for Allans' Occupational Hazard, the round that we all call General Ignorance. Fingers on buzzers, please. Who do you go and see to get your eyes tested?
optician.
Oh. No, why
Alan
not?
Davis.
Optometrist.
Yes, so the optician dispenses the glasses and the optometrist is the person who actually tests your eyes. You can be trained as both. So if you might have an optician who's also an optometrist, that is possible.
An optician who's also an optometrist, that's a TV show I'd like to watch. Crazy maverick optician who does optometry as a sideline.
Why might poor eyesight make a good impression?
Do you seem aloof and therefore people respect you?
When you can't see them,
Yeah.
you don't rear back at their hideousness.
Or try and jump them because of their beauty.
Yeah.
So either way, your response is muted.
It's not
I
that.
have very bad eyesight, even with glasses, so I can see virtually nothing. But it does mean, you know, in all the Hollywood movies when they used to sort of... Yeah, I see... Can I say thank you very much? So everyone looks like they're shot through a filter.
OK,
But
so this is about that. It's to do with impressions.
Is it because Monet and Manet had bad eyesight and that's
It's
why they painted
absolutely to do with the many of the impressionists suffered from very poor eyesight.
That explains a lot.
I'm very short-sighted. Without glasses or contact lenses, things look a bit like an impressionist painting.
I was in a hotel in New York recently, and I was walking down a long corridor. At the end of the corridor, I saw this painting, which was that is beautiful, like a big. It was abstract. It was red and white and all kind of stuff. And I thought, when I get to the end of the corridor, I'm going to see what that is. And it was a fire hose. It was beautiful.
That would be a thoroughly irresponsible painting to hang in a hotel.
It would be. Well, Monet's unusual colours may be down to his cataracts, but he's not the only one. Degas probably had maculopathy, so it's a retinal disease that affects your central vision, and that explains the increasing blurriness in his paintings. And it is thought that Van Gogh suffered from lead poisoning, and that can make your retinas swell, and you start to see light in circles, so very like the Starry Nights. And Van Gogh also treated, of course, with digitalis for his epilepsy, and that drug can cause you to see in yellow or yellow-green, and that could explain his increasing use of yellow in later works. Name an endangered mammal that eats bamboo.
Panda!
Yeah. No, not so. Why, Bill? Any idea?
Well, they're not that endangered.
They're no longer endangered.
They're all over the place.
They're vulnerable.
You can't go in any shopping centre in London without them taking up all the seats.
Yeah.
Elephants eat bamboo. Is there a right answer?
There is a right answer, but it isn't panda because they are no longer designated as endangered.
Tree sloth.
It's a golden bamboo
Eater.
lemur. There, look, how cute is that?
Little face.
A bird of prey!
There's only the two of us left now. I'm the World Wildlife Fund.
Stop eating the bamboo! That's what I can say!
We're making the same mistakes again and again and again. We need to adapt to new habitats. Shut up, I'm eating all the bamboo before the bird comes back.
I love bamboo. I bloody love it.
You can do so much with it. You can grill it. You can fry it.
You can make scaffolding out of it for building a lemur
It's
house.
a very flexible plant. Everyone knows that.
You can make a xylophone out of it, for
There's
God's
loads
sake.
of it. Why are we dying out?
We should be thriving.
We're not having enough sex.
It doesn't really look like bamboo, though. I mean, it looks like he's crimping the end of a joint. Yeah, just crimp it. Here we are. That's that. Right. OK, come on, everyone.
The Camberwell carrot.
Yeah. That's why they're dying out. They're just not doing anything.
Best job ever, I think. In 2014, China's giant panda protection and research centre started recruiting panda nannies. Oh my.
Oh, my gosh.
You get paid the equivalent of £28,000 a year. You get free meals, travel accommodation, and you get to hug pandas all day.
What are any of us doing with our lives?
Some basic knowledge of pandas is required, as well as the ability to take pictures. The work has only one mission, spending 365 days with the pandas and sharing in their joys and sorrows.
No. I don't think they have any joy
Yeah,
or sorrow,
what
do
are-
they?
what
I
are
mean, it's
panda
just,
sorrows?
They're just pandas, aren't they?
I like the little one in the middle. I may be small, but I'll take any of you. I can take on any of you. These are tough ones.
They're about to drop that one. And ready, go!
It would just be the softest crash in the world. though.
This one, this is my favourite. Yeah, this one. That's the best. Show business.
Panda with jazz hands. You don't see that very often. For a question on job openings, what will be the first occupation done exclusively by robots?
Oh, I hope it's not people on panel shows, otherwise...
I would think something like surgery.
OK. Which kind of surgery?
Keyhole heart surgery, maybe something like that. Or brain surgery, where they can be incredibly precise.
So I need to go to the other end?
It would be anal surgery.
Wiping arses.
You have to try and imagine that you are training to be a proctologist and you need to, at some point, have a look inside a rectum. That's going to be your basic training gown. Until recently, the UK has had only one registered rectal teaching assistant who travels round the country visiting medical schools and offering up his rectum to students.
Oh, no, Sandy.
Yes, oh, yes.
That somebody says,
It's
I'll
a job.
do it.
Yeah. Leave that with me. So, there are some problems with this.
You'd definitely make up what you did for a living, wouldn't you?
There are a few problems with this. First of all, the strain of training an entire country of doctors with one rectum, I think, is quite a thing. And then the problem with using a real person is that the professor who is teaching you can't really tell if you're doing it properly because they can't see what you're doing.
Sorry, can I just... Sorry. For the profession of proctologist...
Yes.
Everyone in the country is using the same person.
You can see the problem with this, can't you?
So, do you apply for it, or does it...
Well, they only got one applicant.
It's been a problem, so Imperial College have come up with a robotic rectum. So this guy can go home and sit down. There are tiny robotic arms that apply pressure to a silicon rectal passage, and then the hardware can be changed to different levels of difficulty. You can change the size and shape of the rectum, can change the prostate.
And then eventually you get to a boss fight at the end.
And each one of these arseholes costs £25,000.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
So once the current rectal teaching assistant retires, we will go from a workforce of one to a workforce of none, and there will be just robots.
My arse definitely needs a good looking at.
I've been wondering what to give as a prize this evening.
My husband home for our first Christmas together. I got so self-conscious about all the things that my family do at Christmas.
What do you do that's a...
Well, we have a set of bells that we sit round... We each have a different... Everybody... OK, we've got a set of bells.
Yeah.
There's 8 bells.
Right, how many of you?
Full octave.
Well, there's only 4 of us in my family.
Oh, 2 bells each?
Yeah.
OK.
But then now my husband's joined.
Oh, no!
Yeah.
Oh, he's
No,
bought
that's
it.
good. That's
Oh, it's
another
good.
person, yeah.
Right.
That's another person. I'm glad you recognise him as such.
And in about 1987, my mum wrote out loads of Christmas songs on sort of boards with all the bell numbers.
Right.
And we just do that for about 2 or 3 days.
We had a similar thing. What Mum and Dad's friends would all come over, like Sri Lankan friends. They would get drunk and then they would turn over like bins and stuff like that, and then start banging on them and singing like old traditional Sri Lankan songs.
Is that true, Shanti? Is that true?
Yes, it's very true.
It's true.
You don't-
Checking everything you say, Ramesh. Yeah.
Confirmation, please. Keep from hell. Can we have confirmation that he's telling the truth?
Got this horrible, judgmental Wikipedia sitting up.
Checking all your games.
Yeah, no, that's true, Sandy. Don't worry, you can carry on with the anecdote. Off you go.
Someone from Holly's family going, there's a load of shit about the bells. There are 16 bells, you lying cow.
So, like, they would get, like, buckets and turn them over, and then just, like, my dad would just be... like that for, like, hours.
Do you two live anywhere near each other?
Links up, done a little tour, coffee and cream on the road. But then, one Christmas we did that, and then the next morning we took the blanket off the budgie cage and they were dead.
Had you beaten the birds to death?
No, they just didn't like Sri Lankan music.
I think your mum thinks that's not true. I've never had a budgie!
Just really racist budgies.
How can I persuade you to do what I want using only my thumb?
Well, I think of a couple of possibilities.
Just...
Yes.
No, I've got nothing that isn't Phil.
Nothing? No.
Nothing that isn't Phil.
It's known as the thumb of power, and it's a hand gesture used very widely by modern politicians when they make speeches.
Oh, it's to stop you doing this, isn't it? To stop you going...
Yeah. But
You.
Apparently it's more powerful. Don't do that because people don't like it, but if you do that, you look like you're a powerful person.
Yeah. Never do that as a politician.
No. There's a science of oratorical hand gestures, and it's called chironomia, and it was set out in precise detail in 95 AD, so a really long time ago, Quintilian's Institutio Oratoria. It says here, one of the commonest of all the gestures consists in placing the middle finger against the thumb and extending the remaining three. It is suitable in the statement of facts, but in that case the hand must be moved with firmness and a little further forward, while, if we're reproaching or refuting our adversary, the same movement may be employed with some vehemence and energy, since such passages permit of greater freedom of extension.
Well, I tell you who does this.
Yes.
I think Paulie Walnuts and The Sopranos.
Does he?
And Spider-Man.
But the study of oratory and rhetoric dates back a really long time, and there's all sorts of rules about classic rhetoric based around the rule of three, which is the same as in comedy. So, Tricolon, I came, I saw, I conquered, or Veni, Vidi, Visa, I came, I saw, I shopped. Molossus, so that's three stressed syllables, yes, we can. And epizeuxis, so location, 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 when you repeat the same word over and over again. But it hasn't changed, it hasn't changed. So you get ethos, logos and pathos. Those are the three modes of persuasion. So ethos is how you establish the credibility of the speaker. So watch QI, I'm on it. Logos, you present the logical argument, watch QI, it's really good. And pathos, appeal to the emotions, watch QI or we shoot this kitten. I'm just using it as a rough example. There have been manuals about how you gesture since there have been speeches. This is a wonderful one.
Well, I've done this on a stag do. Zone football, it's called. It's a right laugh. 12 of you, boom, boom. We didn't dress like that.
Bob Dob do. Bob Dob do. Bob Dob do. Oh. I think he might be learning the Macarena. Fairly sure.
And politicians can't help but use them. My favourite example is Richard Nixon. On the day that he was made to resign as president, that's what he chose to do as he left. He clearly hadn't got the message, it hadn't gone all that well.
I think I could play a young Nixon.
Yes, actually, that's slightly terrifying, isn't
it?
And Angela Merkel always held her hands like that. In fact, in Germany, it's known as the Merkel Raute, the Merkel diamond. That's just how she always holds her hands. And Trump also, lots of signature hand signals.
When Donald Trump took to office, little did he know.
I like Angela Merkel's one. It's like she's going to go open the door, see all the people.
It does. So it has the steeple, and then, oh, look. Oh, there's no British people. But don't you think, Victoria, when you have your photograph taken, it's awkward to know what to do with your hands, isn't it? If you're a woman, especially, you can't sort of put your hands in your pockets, can you?
No, yes, terrible. I've read things that say, you know, if you put one foot forward, you look thinner.
I like the idea of the 1 foot forward.
Just do that. Always just do that.
Why is that?
Because people will always remember you.
Doctors, what's your diagnosis here?
He's fallen asleep on a stag do.
He was running a circus school.
The world's
Students
worst.
hated him.
It's a party game, is it? Pin the sword on the nutter.
So this is possibly one of the earliest anatomical drawings for medics. He was known as the Wound Man. It's a medieval image, first printed in a book, 1491 in Venice. It's all the various things. So he's been injured, if you look there, with daggers, he's been shot with arrows, he's been lacerated, he's been stung by bees, scorpions, been clubbed in the head, bitten by a dog, scratched by thorns, blasted by cannonballs. He's definitely got plague and bad spots, and he appears to have a toad in his stomach. So it's, as it were, the contents page to the book.
What a shame, though, for a guy who obviously looks after himself and goes to the gym. To go down like that.
Yeah.
He eats paleo.
Yeah.
You know, he's really healthy, thought he'd have a long life, and then...
Yeah. All of those things happen to him.
He's a curious contradiction, though, 'cause he doesn't look after his appearance enough to remove a sword from his head.
No.
He does buy his underwear in agent provocateur.
Quite snug.
They are on the tight side, aren't they?
Yeah. Ironically, that's the most pain he's in.
Yeah.
But he just... It's gone right up my arse, that.
He's come back from a sort of Civil War reenactment, you know? So, how'd it go? Don't ask. Nick the armour. I've left him with pants. Look at this.
He's going to go to the doctor, and the doctor's going to go, I'm going to try something new, hear me out, don't poo-poo it straight away. It's called acupuncture.
They also had one for women. It isn't just the Wound Man. They had Disease Woman. There she is.
Is Marvel running out of superheroes?
Disease Woman. In the United States, they have an exceptionally complex system for categorising injuries. It's called the ICD-10 system, the International Classification of Diseases. There are 140,000 detail codes for different complaints, and they are extremely specific. So they include bitten by orca, forced landing of spacecraft injuring occupant, asphyxiation due to being trapped in a car trunk, burn due to water skis on fire.
That's really hard.
How could that ever happen?
That is so unlucky.
My absolute favourite, hurt at opera.
Otherwise known as the Abraham Lincoln.
Yes. The first attempts to categorise disease is in this country the bills of mortality, and there was a man called John Graunt, who was actually a haberdasher, but he was very interested in trying to work out the various things that people died of, so we're talking 16th century. And he put together these bills of mortality, and they're great. If you have a look, these are the different things that people died of. They are just gripping in the guts. 1,288 people died of that, gripping in the guts.
Gripping.
Lethargy's already my favourite.
That's a good one. I can't bother.
That's the way I want to go.
Too
lethargic to live.
I quite like frighted. 23 people died frighted.
Killed by several accidents.
I like just found dead in the streets. What? How did he die? I don't know, just found him.
Some of these bills of mortality, they just had cause of death suddenly. That's it. That'll sort you out.
Yeah.
Teeth and worms.
How do you die of teeth and worms? 2,600...
I tell you what, look, Wound Man would have read that and go, yeah, I've had that, I've had that, I've had that.
You can't learn to ski jump without breaking legs, and you can't make an omelette without...
Breaking eggs.
And we're off and running. Yes.
But you're going to show us how you can.
You can make an omelette without breaking eggs. In Japan, it's called a golden egg, as we shall demonstrate. What you need to do is...
Get a chicken.
An egg.
It's in a pair of
Well,
tights.
it's in a stocking, so I'm going to pass this to you. And what you need to do is you need basically to break the membrane that is round the egg yolk. That is called the vitelline membrane. It's a protein fibres. And what you do is you spin it like this, and you're trying to shake the egg. And actually, it's one of the good things when you let go, it does that.
I've got a very expensive suit on at this point.
Ah, OK. Just spin it gently, it would be the thing. Yeah. I don't think we've ever had anybody who's worn expensive clothing on this show. It's a really cheap children's toy, isn't it? Have you broken yours? So you spin it and you mix up the egg inside the shell.
Right.
It's actually quite tough to do.
I cannot make it go any further, Jim.
And then you boil it, and it will, when you remove the shell, it will reveal that it is an omelette. I mean, some people would say it was more of a scrambled egg than an omelette. But Escoffier's definition, in a few words, what is an omelette? It's really a special type of scrambled egg enclosed in a coating or envelope of coagulated egg and nothing else. So our version ought to qualify.
That's what a man looks like.
That's a bloke, isn't it?
In tights. Actually, we could ask Grayson, is this what a man looks like?
Grayson, I'm so sorry.
If my skirt was any shorter.
Yeah.
Let's have a look at the below the desk cam. Oh, there we go.
OK, I have a question for you all. Here is
OK.
a bottle
Right.
with an egg in it. How did it get in the bottle?
It's one of those tricks you read about in old encyclopedias, isn't
Yes.
it?
Yes.
What do you think it is?
So you can't plunge that in a pan of boiling water and then somehow extricate the shell.
So if I have another bottle, you can see that the egg...
Oh, I know how you do it.
Yes.
You take all the air out of the bottle and it sucks the egg in.
So the way you do that is you're going to light. Let me show you.
Do you want me to play some music or something?
Yeah. Can you light that, darling?
Dun, dun, da, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Brazil. Oh, well, it's doing it.
It's like trying to get into your jeans, isn't it?
That is what happens when you get Eric Pickles and you try and get him out of an aeroplane.
We've overbooked the flight. You're going to have to... Actually, no, you can stay.
You've got to 30,000 feet and over the door.
I've got one more trick. So this is a little bit hit and miss.
Go on.
But I will do my best. When it works,
What is
it's
this?
absolutely fantastic. I have to be more
Can you hit
constant.
it the other way?
I've got to be more... No. No.
Go on.
This'll work.
A little bit orange, very oversensitive.
Donald Trump.
Someone had to say it.
So, Callie, I might be looking at you.
Something to do with being ginger.
Just to do with being red-headed. So, are there any particular characteristics that are more associated with redheads?
Fiery. They're fiery,
We're very
aren't they?
attractive.
Very, very attractive. The fact is, multiple studies have shown that redheads are more sensitive to pain than the rest of us. So, unfortunately, you are more susceptible
Do you know,
to
though, I
pain.
think there are studies that say the opposite. I'm just saying, I've also seen studies that say we've got a higher pain threshold.
Well, they worked out that typically 20% more anaesthetic is needed by a redhead. And the way they worked this out, researchers administered electric shocks to redheads while giving them increasing amounts of painkiller until they stopped feeling pain. And the reason is that having red hair is usually caused by a mutation on a gene called MC1R, and that is also involved in pain modulation. This explains why redheads are twice as likely to avoid going to the dentist as the rest of us, because we feel more pain.
I don't believe any of this. I don't want to pry into QI, but I don't believe it.
Fair enough. Where do you think the most common red hair gene first appeared in the world? Where's it come from?
Scotland.
Ireland.
It's got to be Scotland.
Scandinavia.
No, it isn't. It's Asia, in fact. It's Central Asia. But it's very common in various parts of the UK. Why do you think that might be?
Maybe surely it's the lack of sun.
Yeah, it's
perhaps,
got to be the climate.
in places like Scotland. I mean, look at our Scottish cousins.
Yes.
That their skin isn't just sheet white from the lack of sun, but their hair has turned red as it attempts to start its own fire for warmth.
People desperately wanting to procreate with other ginger people because we're so deeply attractive.
The fact is... The fact is, it's a recessive gene, so it excels in relatively closed communities. I'm afraid it requires a level of inbreeding. That's the truth.
My friend, she's got red hair and she went on holiday to Philippines and people were stopping her in the street to have their photo taken with her.
Because they
They just couldn't believe that she existed. Thought she was a celebrity.
I was in mainland China for the first time ever doing gigs, and I could not tell you how many people stopped me in the street asking to take a selfie with me, right? I mean, it was as though they'd never ever seen a tall person before. So can you imagine if I was ginger as well? They'd be carrying me out the building. Obviously, I don't speak Mandarin or Cantonese. I'm in a packed lift in China, all these people. I'm not even joking. The only phrase I could decipher was this. Pube head.
You absolutely need to put that on your posters. I think that's... What's this all about? Disgrace, dangerous, not a very edifying spectacle, wretched women.
Is this about women on panel shows?
Ah, yes. Only last year, in fact, I think. Horrified.
Yeah, it's been horrifying to be here.
So, panel shows, it's to do with games of some kind?
Is it women playing sport?
Yes, women doing sport. It was thought to be one of the most shocking things in the world. These are descriptions of the women's 800 metres at the 1928 Olympics, OK? So women had been allowed to compete in the track and field events for the very first time, and the media reported that it was a disaster. According to these reports, out of the 11 runners, 5 collapsed before getting to the end, 5 fainted at the finish line, and only 1 was still standing, and she passed out in the dressing room moments later. Some of the women took 15 minutes to regain consciousness. Those who hadn't won sobbed hysterically, and as a result, the 800 metres race was deemed to be just too injurious to these women, and it was dropped from the Olympics for 32 years. You can see here the German Lena Radke winning and Japan coming second.
She must have an early iPodding, because she's doing something.
In reality, there were 9 women runners. They all completed it. No one collapsed, no one became hysterical, and 6 of them beat the existing world record.
So, was this in the mainstream British press?
I know, it's shocking to think that the press might ever tell you something that's not...
Please don't tell me it was in the Murdoch papers.
This wasn't the first Olympics women competed in, though, was it? They'd competed before.
Only in some sports. So the founder of the modern Olympics, Pierre de Coubertin, he vehemently opposed female participation. He absolutely wasn't having it.
That's Rowan Atkinson.
Pierre de Coubertin, he vehemently opposed female participation. He said it would be impractical, uninteresting, unaesthetic and improper. He said women's primary role should be to crown the victors, since they were, above all, a companion to men. But you're absolutely right. They had been allowed to compete from 1900, but only in 5 sports, and they were considered the kind of easy...
Sewing?
Sewing, yes, was a big one. It was tennis, croquet, golf, sailing and equestrian. And the women got fed up with this. So in 1922, they held their own Olympics in Paris. 20,000 people attended. There were 18 world records set. One of the more unusual events is that one on the right, is the two-handed javelin. And athletes had to throw once with their right hand and then once with their left hand, and the score was the combined distance of the two.
So sort of ambidextrous javelin.
Yes, and then your teammate had to catch it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to be the one who had to measure it when people were throwing the javelin left-handed.
It's one of the great incentives. Is that 2 together?
That's getting the javelin and throwing.
It is. I would think it was quite tricky. Yeah.
I think she's going too far up that one.
I think that's
One of the reasons why women wanted to take part in the Olympics was the incredibly restricted clothing that they wore in the traditional games. So up until the mid-1900s, female swimmers had to wear blouses and bloomers in the pool. They used to play tennis in dresses that covered the ankle and multiple petticoats and corsets and so on, shoes with heels.
But I think that's why it took so long for women to get involved in sports, because I run, and it's all about 2 bras.
Yeah.
Nothing should move.
Because otherwise, honestly, take your eye out.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like giving tips out at race days, sometimes to middle-aged men, to be honest.
Are you most likely to come across a UFO? Yes, Milligan.
In the sky?
Anybody else? Yes.
Reading. Not much happens in Reading, so...
Don't you think they want to go somewhere where the stuff is happening?
No, because they want to be secret. The whole of Reading could be aliens, you wouldn't even know.
Why do they want to be secret? This big assumption that they come here all this way and then just hide.
Somebody knows a lot about them, don't they?
Near airports, because they always look like planes, weirdly.
Yes, that is quite a strange thing, isn't it? They
Yeah.
do look a bit like planes. And the answer is the ocean. The most common and most dangerous UFOs are unidentified floating objects. Usually pieces of lost cargo, and they lie along the shipping routes just under the surface. They can damage ships tremendously. Between 2008 and 2013, an average of about 1,700 shipping containers were lost at sea. Look at this picture. That is seriously bad packing, isn't it?
That's surely not in one go.
Well, about half of those 1,700 came from a single ship, the MOL Comfort. The ship actually broke in half and all the containers went into the sea.
Well, that's fair enough then. That
yeah.
wasn't careless,
No.
was it?
Some of the strange stuff that has washed up on the sea. In 2008, a 6-foot-tall Lego man, my people, washed up on Brighton Beach.
Oh, that's amazing.
It's a really extraordinary thing is I've been trying to find out what happened to it.
Just swam off.
If anybody knows, please, could you let me know? I want to know where the Brighton Lego man is. I'd like to come and say hello.
Why is it never a Lego woman that's washed up?
Because the Lego woman wasn't beach ready.
What do vegetarian goat suckers eat?
Right, can you show that on television?
I think that's taking vaping too far. So vegetarian goat suckers, what do they eat?
He must eat the rest of the goat, surely, before it becomes his instrument.
It's a vegetarian goat sucker.
So...
Well, just know you saying that. What's a goat sucker?
It's a kind of bird. It's an order of birds called goat suckers. And they were named because there was an ancient belief that they lived nocturnally sucking the milk from the teats of goats, which sent them blind.
Oh, God.
Oh, I know.
Feels like a fun-size owl.
Well...
Like if you were like, oh, I want to get an owl, but I haven't got the space.
Yeah.
I got one of these.
They're called oil birds, also known as guacharo, and they are the only vegetarian species of goat suckers. Most goat suckers eat insects. These oil birds eat fruit.
So you said that like it's like a huge surprise to us. Well, I've only just heard they existed. You went, these are the only ones that are vegetarians. Well, I've just found... I mean, I literally couldn't care less. I'm speaking on behalf of everyone in the room when I say... Yeah, these are the only vegetarian ones? Well, let's get this down. What are you talking about? You've lost your mind.
They live in caves in the northern part of South America.
Well, no wonder they're vegetarian. What is there to eat in there?
Well, the thing about them is they get so fat from the fruit that they eat that they become incredibly plump, and there's an annual oil harvest where people take the plump babies, in their thousands, the local people, and they render them for the oil, because apparently it's excellent for fuel and also for cooking.
Do they still suck the goats?
Nobody sucks goats. It's... There is no goat sucking.
How do you get the oil out of the bird?
Well, like you can render any bird for its fat, can't you? If you ever cooked a duck, you can get an enormous amount of duck fat out of it.
Imagine a world where I've never cooked a duck.
Okay.
I mean, it's like, I don't know, we're not really on the same wavelength here at all. I remember when Sandy had a breakdown on television and she was talking about goat suckers. and then we just gave up. We asked about 3 times, what has this goat got to do with anything? And she just went, oh, it's a bird. But then she kept on talking about goats for ages before, but then we just let it go.
People at the tipping point, they say it was one show too many. And she explained to everyone, it's the only vegetarian goat sucker, but it doesn't suck goats. It doesn't even do it. And she thought it made sense.
Yeah, and then she was someone's mother-in-law, and then she ended up in an asylum. We went to visit her.
There was an ancient belief that they sucked the teats of goats for the milk, but they don't. Sometimes in the old days, they got things wrong.
Thousands of years ago, somebody went, I bet they sucked the teats of goats.
Yes, exactly.
Let's call them goat suckers. And
yes,
then everyone else went, but they don't do that. I've named them now.
Yeah.
OK, I've written it down in the bird book.
It's like that joke, you shag one sheep.
Yeah, exactly.
What's the biggest thing in the ocean that you've never heard of?
Oh. Well, I mean, we've never heard of it, so it's difficult for us to name.
Yes. That is true.
Yeah, so should we have a stab at it?
Yeah.
The shadow there.
Blue whale.
They're astonishing, up to 98 feet, 170 tons, but I want one you've never heard of.
Row your boat
red whale.
It's called the ocean sunfish, the common molar. It is essentially a giant head covered in mucus.
We've all been there. I went scuba diving one time in Australia, and when I got back on the boat, the pilot of the boat said, "Got a little bit of in your mask there, mate." And my mask was full of snot. I mean, it was an extraordinary amount of snot that I couldn't understand that had been in my head in the first place.
So you were like one of these? You were like one of these?
Yes, I was.
It's covered in mucus.
Covered in mucus.
They spend most of their time sunbathing on the surface of the ocean. One of these adults can literally weigh a ton, and they grow to be 60 million times heavier than their larvae. So that would be like a human baby becoming an adult the size of 6 Titanics. They have a grey, round body and rough skin, feels a bit like sandpaper. The Germans called it the Schwimmender Kopf, the swimming head. And they apparently have a permanently surprised expression. They have a mouth that never really closes. And they're very docile and very curious and friendly. Tierney Thies, who is the world's leading expert, describes them as goofy. She says that when she goes to try and tag one, they stick their fin out of the water and wave, like going, "Hi, I'm over here."
The middle one looks like he's about to start a fight on a night out. He's like, "Oi, oi,
Apparently, they're just not aggressive in any way. There's only one human death attributed to a molar, and that's a man who was accidentally flattened by one leaping.
What size are they then?
About 6 foot by 8 foot, but really it's like having a car come at you. It's like a sort of Cadillac.
God, they are big, yeah.
And where would you find one?
Isle of Wight.
Yeah.
In fact, the Isle of Wight is one big one.
They like it warm, darling.
Right, warm.
You're not going to find it around the British coast. They're very strong swimmers, and they can dive down to a fantastic depth, 2,600 metres. And the females produce as many as 300 million eggs at a time, but only 2 survive.
Oh.
Yeah. No. We feel bad. We're invested now in the motor.
It looks like it's not finished.
I think it's chopped a bit
just
off.
squeeze it in at the bottom there, that'd be fine.
It's like the good Lord went, that'll do.
Unfinished sculpture of a fish.
Yeah. The biggest thing in the ocean that we'd never heard of used to be the molar, although now we know about it. That title will have to be passed on to something else. I have 4 occupations for you. Deirdre, you are a sewage diver. Richard, you're the Queen's bagpiper. David, you're an ornamental hermit. And Alan, you're bailiff of the Chiltern Hundreds. Which of you has got a real job?
The Chiltern Hundreds is a real place.
Yes, but is the job a real job?
It's an anti-job. It's what you get when you resign as an MP. You join the Chiltern Hundreds.
So it's not really a real job. So 1624, they passed a law saying that nobody can leave Parliament. And it stems from the time when people were elected against their will. So sometimes local gentry were made to join Parliament. They didn't really want to. And the law says technically you have to die or you have to be voted out or you have to go and work for the Queen or something. So if you want to retire, you apply for a fictional Crown office called the Steward and Bailiff of the Chiltern Hundreds. And there are some people who have, in their time,
Look
been
at Tony
stewards.
Blair pretending to drink wine.
He brought an empty glass to his lips, and now he's filled it with his special liquid. Then he passes it to the person next to him, they drink it, and then they like him.
So let's go back to the sewage diver. What do you reckon? Did it a real job?
Well, it's a shit job, isn't it?
It is look at that. It is a real thing. So they have a
wading.
There you go, yeah.
But that's not a way to resign if you're an MP. You know, so I think that would be quite popular.
That would be a good
You
way.
know, I wish to leave politics, so
Yes.
now I will immerse myself in excrement.
Yes.
Hooray!
Who would do this job?
I used to be a sewage diver. It was just going through the motions.
Well, there are sewage farms, and they have sort of moving parts, and when things get stuck, they're fitted with air pipelines, so you have to dive in and climb down to fix them.
Oh,
Fitted with air pipelines. I would hope so.
Yes, Just take a deep breath and go for it. I would have thought the worst job is the person who has to clean the suit when they get out.
I don't know. I think I'd go... Presented with that
Yeah.
Terrible career choice. I think I'd go for cleaning the suit.
What about Queen's bagpiper, Richard? Is that a real job?
Well, she's got everything, hasn't she? The Queen. So, yeah, gosh, I'd imagine so.
She is really keen on bagpipers, isn't
Well,
she?
she inherited it. Queen Victoria was terribly keen. I mean, mad keen. There was
Mad for the
bagpipes.
Yeah.
There was no telly then, so, you know, fair enough.
It was much easier in the days when all you had to be better than was a bagpiper.
Yeah. 9 o'clock every morning, he plays for 15 minutes underneath her window.
Oh, no, he doesn't.
Well, he's been told it's her window. Who knows where she is. They play 50 minutes every day at Buckingham Palace, Windsor Castle, Balmoral or Holyrood House. They don't play at Sandringham. Anybody know why?
Because she needs a break. That's the Christmas one, isn't it, Sandringham?
Yeah. Well, apparently it's because there isn't enough accommodation.
Sorry, we just don't have the room
No.
for the bagpiper.
One of the things they say...
It's a kind of anti the Christmas story, isn't it?
Very unstable.
And when he's not bagpiping, he's a page of presents, but I have no idea what that is.
A page of presents is Santa's list, isn't it?
I'm going to give you an extra point, because that's the cutest answer anybody's ever given. What about the ornamental hermit, David? What do you reckon?
I think, didn't the sort of very rich, mad aristocrat that built follies might think a folly would be even more fun if it was permanently inhabited by someone employed to sort of be there and be a hermit?
You're absolutely right. It was very fashionable in the 18th century, and they liked people to sort of dress up as druids, and they lived in caves. If the landowner couldn't afford a hermit, because, you know, they're pricey, they saved money by having just the hermitage and telling everybody the hermit was out. OK. Who am I talking about? A great beauty. Pouty lips, long legs, good posture, firm ears, and spits in your face when you annoy them.
Camel.
It is a camel.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Pouty lips?
Pouty lips, yes. There you are. Look, they have naturally pouty lips. Every year, the government of which country is the only one in the world begins with O?
Oman.
Oman runs a camel beauty contest. So I've got the guidelines for a beautiful camel. Well-proportioned body and face.
Essential.
Essential. Yeah. A long garib. Anybody know what the garib is?
The penis.
Is it their neck thing?
It is the area between the hump and the neck. It's called the garib.
okay.
Long body, firm ears, pouty lips, broad cheeks, big whiskers, a long straight neck, long straight legs, and fur shimmer.
Shiny coat,
Yeah,
yes.
and the most important thing is it's got to be large. There are no hybrid breeds, no fur dyeing, colouring, tattooing, that kind of thing. The natural look is what they want. But there are other animal beauty contests, and one of them is held here in the UK. It's an annual tarantula beauty contest. So we are going to have a look to see how beautiful tarantulas are. Please welcome zoologist Mark Amy. Now, here's the thing, is that we don't in any way want to upset the tarantulas, obviously.
Don't open the lid.
So,
Don't open the lid. Don't open the lid.
Only one person is going to handle... This is Rosie, the tarantula.
Don't.
And Bill's volunteered, haven't you, Bill?
Yes, I have.
Oh, yes. Oh.
What is this one?
That's a Mexican red-kneed tarantula.
Right, and
And
that-
this one is a Chilean rose.
And she is called Rosie, isn't she?
Yeah.
Oh. OK. How dangerous are they? I mean, some people are afraid of them.
The venom is very mild.
Right.
So it's equivalent to a...
Venom and mild.
It's similar to bees and wasp stings, so it's
Oh,
a
right.
neurotoxin, but it's a low-level neurotoxin.
Oh, that's all right.
But tell me about like a nettle sting that they can give off from their abdomen, is that right?
Yeah, it's called irrigating, and those hairs are like little javelin spears that go in an upward direction, and they're all barbed. So when they hit something like eyes or skin, they stick in.
Well, it comes from the Latin for nettle, so presumably it feels a little bit like a nettle sting. Is
Yeah,
that
it does.
And do they mind being handled?
No, this one's quite used to it and quite enjoys it.
Have you known Rosie from the...
I've had her for over 20 years, but then I don't know how long they'll live.
She could live another
Very
10, 20
sweet.
years?
Yeah.
But the boys reach sexual maturity and then what?
Oh, then they're pretty doomed.
Right.
They stop feeding, and their whole purpose in life is to try and find females.
Yes.
And then they'll usually die of starvation. If not, the last female that they mate with generally kills him.
Well, I think they're both beautiful. Thank you so
Absolutely
much,
stunning.
Mark, for
Thank
bringing
you
them
very
in,
much.
and thank you to Rosie. One of the least effective spies, Britain's Michael Bettany, hired by MI5 in 1982. He once tried to dodge a ticket on a train while drunk, and when a guard chased him, he shouted, "You can't arrest me, I'm a spy."
It's so easy to overestimate the efficacy of the double bluff, isn't it?
Yes. Well, he later tried to get in touch with the KGB to sell them some documents, and the KGB thought they were being set up, and they informed MI5 of his treachery. So he was just rubbish.
Look, that is the worst bunny rabbit you've ever seen.
Probably the worst spying operation happened in 1940, and this is one of my favourites. A dozen German spies landed in Britain, and they were all caught almost immediately. One walked into a pub and asked for a pint of cider soon after 9 o'clock in the morning. They weren't allowed to serve alcohol before lunch.
Half a litre of cider?
Straight away, please. Another couple were stopped while cycling through Scotland on the wrong side of the road, and when they looked in their bags, they found to contain German sausages and Nivea hand cream. And I
what a combination!
I know!
It's 9 o'clock in the morning! I've had a cider, Hans.
I thought it was because no British soldier would have hand cream, but it turns out Nivea's German. I didn't know that.
Is it?
It's German.
Oh.
One of them spoke no English at all, but the one who spoke English the best said his mission was to find out how the people is living, how many soldiers there are, and all the things.
Brilliant. I love that it was a documentary, basically.
There are some people who think they were deliberately sent by senior German officers to sabotage the plot because they didn't want to invade Britain. But,
That's the Germans for you. At the time. A lot of them have mended their ways since.
For our friends in Berlin, Richard's address is... OK, so for this, I'm going to ask Aisling. Please channel Carol Vorderman for me, if you wouldn't mind. So here's a pen. So you've got to hold it up so that everybody can see.
Yes.
So maybe Alan can help you with that.
Well, I think I'm all right.
No, I mean, hold it up so that the audience can see what you're writing.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yes. Thank God I got this big, strong man with me to carry me board.
There's a gentleman wearing a T-shirt that says love is something. Any random number, please. Just a single-digit number. It wasn't a difficult question. Not that many of them. 8. Write that down, please.
OK.
Just to warn you, you're going to write a 3-digit number, and there's going to be quite a lot of numbers.
So 8.
Oh, dear God. Could you just start again? OK.
That was just me having a gentle laugh with you, Sandy.
I love it. There is, let's go right up the back, the first row at the very back, the blue shirt at the end. 2, number 2. OK, there we go.
Squeaky. Shut up, Debbie McGee.
Let's go over here, lady with the patterned top. 7. 827. OK. So what I want you to do now is reverse the digits underneath.
Oh, yes. Oh. But that's always going to be 2 in the middle.
Yeah, that's fine, that's fine. Keep going.
Put it upside down.
It's not really complicated, what I'm asking you to do.
Yes.
Could you now subtract the smaller number from the larger?
Right, yeah. OK, so we're going to do this now. So we take 8 from 7, just not possible. I think we all know that. Yes, so we're going to do...
Wow.
I mean, I'm in the arts, you see.
Yeah.
So...
9.
What? Stop saying no at me in German and tell me what the answer is. 9.
Yeah, and then
this one comes down here, so there's 3 from 9. God.
Right. So I need to have 3 numbers, so put a 0 now, please. So we have 3 numbers, OK. Now reverse those digits, please. 0.
Always 9.
9, and please could you add them together?
So 18.
No. So 9 and 0. Start again. 9 and 0 is 9. 9 and 9 is 8. Carry 1. So the answer is... OK, so we've come to 1089. OK, thank you very much. Wow, that was painful. Really painful. What was the number that we had? We had 1089. So, Noel, I'm going to pass you a copy of 1,342 QI facts to leave you flabbergasted. No.
Yes.
Could you, let's see, 1089, take the 10th word on page 89 and tell me what it is?
Yeah.
What is it?
French.
French. Here's the envelope that I did earlier, and there is the word French. Ants, they kill 30 people a year. Jellyfish.
What? How?
Yeah.
Luring them across the road.
Yeah. Which do you think is the most dangerous out of all those animals in terms of human deaths?
Well, I know hippos are real psychos.
Yeah, it is the hippos. It's absolutely. They kill.
Psychos.
Hippos are psycho, man.
2,900 people a year are killed by hippos.
Really?
So compare that to 6 people killed by sharks. You are 1,000 times more likely to drown in the sea than you are to be bitten by a shark, even in an area with sharks. You know that wonderful tune written by John Williams, the two-note theme to Jaws? He described it as grinding away at you just as a shark would do, instinctual, relentless, unstoppable. Benchley actually has a shark named after him, Etmopterus benchlei. Not exactly a killer, it's about 30 to 50 centimetres long. Also known as Ninja Lantern Shark. It's fairly recently discovered. It lives off the coast of Central America. We don't have one, obviously, in the studio, but I have a life-size cutout, so it looks like that.
That's the size it is in real life?
That's the size of the one that Peter Benchley, who wrote Jaws, has got named.
That is pathetic.
Yeah?
This is a shark.
But you see, you can't help yourself but do the music. You immediately went... There's a thing.
So he looks really nice and friendly there.
He looks rather sweet. It's got lots of things on the side that says you shouldn't do, but it doesn't say don't swim with actual sharks. That is not the smallest shark, though, the one named after Benchley. The dwarf lantern shark is the smallest, and it grows to only about 15 centimetres.
I'd say, a couple of those on a pizza, a bit of tomato.
Their stomach organs emit light to camouflage them from creatures below, so it makes them blend into the sunlight that streams from the light above.
My favourite shark that I've ever seen was Joe Lycett in a swimming pool in Canada. We were doing gigs out together, and you know your little, like...
Oh, yeah?
your shark that he does in the pool, but you don't see Joe coming, and then he goes, da-da, 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 da-da.
There was a gay Jaws as well that I did, which was da-da-da-da.
Scared of me? Shut up! Did you know that female sharks can reproduce without male contact? Did you
Finally.
know this?
Living the dream.
It is almost impossible to sneak up on a shark, and that's because they have eyes on the side of their head. They can see behind them just as well as they can see in front.
I'm very...
So they've got 2 blind spots, one directly in front of them and one behind.
I'm interested that someone has worked out how difficult it is to sneak up on a shark. It involves someone seeing a shark and thinking, I tell you what, I'm going to sneak up on it. I'm going to give that shark the fright of its life.
How's this for openers? What would you open with these? So let's have a quick look. I've got number 1 here. Come and have a look.
A door, a lock, or something like
well,
that?
it's going to certainly open something that's difficult to open.
A safe, a suitcase, your heart.
That would be a story, I tell you.
Is it a device for opening 2 unexploded party poppers?
Oh, I want it to be that.
Yeah.
I see that you're wearing a very fine watch there, Romesh. What do you think it might be?
It's for a watch.
That's why we have you on this show. It's the sharpness of the mind that is so fantastic.
Is it... No.
No. It's the back case cover opener. Yeah. So, for a
With a
lady's...
simple action, you can get the things closer together, or indeed further apart.
So you could do a lady's watch or a gentleman's watch.
And also, you can measure the girth of your penis with that.
Maybe you can, mate.
You can measure the length of yours with that.
I just don't understand the applause of recognition from a member of the audience.
Yes.
What, do you actually know what do you do?
I'm not sure your watch is worth opening.
Thank you, Sandy.
No,
I feel a bit victimised.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
I don't mind people talking about my penis, but my watch. That's a step too far.
OK, let's have a look at this one. You guys can have a look at that one and see what you think of that.
Well, it's gynecological, isn't it? If we're opening something.
It is opening something, but you may be at the wrong end.
Is that for when you do a heart transplant, keeping the chest open?
So this thing here is also used in the same area. So
now you're talking.
Yeah.
Is it mouthy?
It is mouthy, darling, yes. It's on the mouth side. Do you want to try that? So it's something to do with the mouth.
So it's keeping the mouth...
Yeah. So if you see, Matt, the thing that it's got, it ratchets open, but you would...
Is that right?
Yeah, that is. Yeah.
So what is that for? Turning the mouth into a letterbox or something?
They can edit that
You can't get it out, Sandy.
It's a cheek retractor. That's exactly how it works. And so is that... No, so don't put that bit in your mouth, darling. That's like a school teacher. Don't put that bit in your mouth, darling. Put the black bit into your mouth, so that... Yes, so the middle bit, you put that in.
Well, my mouth isn't that big.
Well, you've got to close it first, the thing.
What, so put that in?
Put it around the other way, I think.
handling that.
The other way?
No.
I usually have someone who looks after me. And they help me out with things like this. I'm a little overwhelmed at this time.
You were heading in the right direction.
What, in there?
Yes, put that in like that, and then open it up. Yes. And it... Yeah, that's exactly. Put the patient's mouth open while they're having dental treatment.
It's the stuff of dreams.
It's time for a secret operation. What is the point of a tap in the ocean?
That's not a real picture.
It isn't a real picture, because in Britain you'd have 2 taps for no reason at all.
OK, I don't understand this. So you have a hot tap and you have a cold tap, right? Yes. Well, how's that? So you're trying to wash your hands, and what happens? You put it under the hot tap, you think, oh! And then you have the cold tap, How is it the British haven't discovered there's a mixer tap? What is it?
We get.
Did you find that baffling when you arrived?
I still find it baffling. I don't understand radiators. Why you want to heat an entire house with a small, hot metal plate in the corner? It doesn't work.
What would you do instead?
We have forced air in Canada, otherwise you freeze to death.
What do you have what?
Forced air, just
you know,
aircon.
Aircon?
Yeah.
I've never heard the term. I'm 40, late 40s, and I don't... I genuinely didn't know how old I was. I'm not going to bother sitting here working out, but I'm 50 soon, and I've never heard the term forced air. Well, not in that context.
I love the fact, Rod, that I'm asking you some quite complicated science questions, and you don't know how old you are.
I'm about 49.
You're about 49. Have you just worked it out?
Yeah. I'm so used to saying I'm 50 in a few years. I'm so used to saying that for a moment it's
No, the thing is, though, it is quite good to know how old you are. And the producer just told me in my ear, Rod, that you're 48.
way to remember how old you are. Is there like a little, some kind of song I can sing or something? Or...
I've never needed a mnemonic for my age, but I'm sure I can invent one. I'm going to come back to what's the point? What's the point? That's the question.
I've written one for you.
Yeah.
I've written one for you.
OK, here we go.
How about, like, What year are we in today? When am I born? Just take that away. You don't have to be a whiz. That's how old Rod Gilbert is.
I just followed your poetic guidelines. I'm 48.
At the risk of repetition, what is the point of a tapping session?
Is it so that when sea levels rise, you can turn it off? I don't know.
So it's not actually a water tap.
It's not a
There's
tap.
rather
Oh, tap.
so what else could you tap? What's another kind of tapping that people do when they're trying to listen in?
There's a shark behind you.
Yeah. Is it a wire when they put a wire, transatlantic radio communications wire?
It's Cold War. It's called Operation Ivy Bells, and it took place from 1971 to 1981, and it was the USA wiretapping a Russian underseas cable. That thing, they're moving it into position there, is a giant tape recorder, and they just put it onto the wire. So the sailors on a submarine, the USS Halibut, located a Soviet cable. Halibut. They located a Russian cable off the Russian east coast, and they moved a 6-metre-long recording pod around it to track the communications. The thing I really like about it, because we're talking some years ago now, the device had to be updated every month, and so divers had to leave a submarine once a month and change the tapes. But it was hugely successful. It ran for a decade until a National Security Agency employee of the United States sold the information to the KGB.
Spying was a lot more hassle back then when you've got to train a team of divers, get submarines. Yeah. Now you just need somebody's maiden name and their first pet's name and you're off.
Yeah.
If you're Russians, you just have to go and see Donald Trump and ask him.
The greatest Wimbledon champion of all time.
Andy Murray.
I think I would have said Sampras. Sorry.
Sampras from Bulgaria.
Great Uncle Bulgaria.
Is it a croquet player?
Oh. Yes, it is a croquet player. Absolutely right. Professor Bernard Neal is the greatest Wimbledon champion of all time. He won the croquet championships 38 times. So if you think about it, Navratilova, Wimbledon singles 9 times. He won 38 times. He only took the sport up at the age of 40. Between 1963 and 2002, he won 37 titles out of a possible 40.
Smacks of a drug cheat, that.
What do you have to press on the red button to get coverage of the croquet?
I've got a bit of croquet here, so... Alan, what colour do you want to be? Do you want to be red or blue or...
Black.
Black, here we go.
Can I be the iron?
Which way are you going to go? You're going to go right?
I don't know why that's pleased me so much. It went miles. It went miles.
That'll be under someone's feet.
Croquet was an Olympic sport.
It should be still.
It was dropped after 1900 because only one person turned up to watch. So. But the reason it's interesting is because the very first women to take part in the Olympics took part as part of the French croquet team. So there were 7 men and 3 women. And it was thought to be rather racy because it was a game where men and women played on equal footing. There's a wonderful quote from the American Christian Review in 1878 said, "Croquet would lead to moral decline in American women, and consequences would include absence from church, immoral conduct, and eventually ruin."
True, though. That's a very pessimistic view.
Anybody know the connection between croquet and Pall Mall, the great street in London?
They played croquet upon it?
Yes, they did. It is, in fact, where croquet comes from. An Italian game, 17th century game called Palle Male. And both Pall Mall and the Mall were designed specifically to play this game. They whacked the ball up the course, and then they had to shoot a ball through a suspended hoop at the end, and that's where we begin to get
much more like
from.
Quidditch.
It is, yeah.
The people who play actual Quidditch near where I live, they run around with broomsticks between their legs. None of them can fly.
That is what leads inevitably to ruin.
Yes. What do you think is the fattest animal in the world?
Why did you look at me when you asked that question?
Are you talking about body fat percentage or actually amount of fat?
Yeah, body fat percentage.
Oh, well, that could be a tortoise, because they hibernate. That's it.
Yeah, but they don't hibernate, turns out.
No.
Don't they?
And so for years, people were putting them in boxes and putting them in the cupboard under the stairs, and they were just in solitary confinement.
No, it's called an army cutworm moth, and they can achieve 72% body fat. It makes them the fattest animals on Earth, and they live in Yellowstone National Park, so it's not always cold there, but they do get themselves ready for the winter and store up the body fat, and then the bears eat them.
What, the bears eat them while they're hibernating?
They gorge on them just before winter sets in, so one bear can eat up to 40,000 moths in a day. So each moth is about 1 inch or 2 inches long, and each one is about half a calorie.
That'd be a much more sinister John Lewis Christmas ad, wouldn't it? Just a bear feasting on tubby moths.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Thousands of them.
They eat loads and lots of nectar from wild flowers. They're known as miller moths, that's their nickname, because the fine scales in its wings, it rubs off easily. It reminds people of the dusty flower covering on a miller. But you can see them in Yellowstone National Park. Yes, boo-boo. Hey, boo-boo.
I always thought Yogi and Boo Boo were a right pair of pricks. Like, they're supposed to be the heroes. It's just little thieves, just going around robbing, and then we're supposed to support them. You're out of order.
Idle thieves. A lot of American humour's about that. Shucksters and shysters and idle thieves. They all like it. They kind of revere that person who doesn't get a proper job but gets by. So they love a criminal.
They voted one in, didn't they?
Yes.
I'm a political satirist now. I'm going to just stay here until it's news night.
And where do we get to? Picnic baskets. Picnic basket?
Thief! In the first episode, someone could have just come and shot them.
Boo-boo, it's getting dark. I'm losing blood, Boo-boo.
Don't go to sleep, Yogi! Don't go to sleep!
I don't think I'm gonna make it, Boo-boo. I can see a great big picnic basket in the sky, Boo-boo.
Wow.
Next week, funeral.
I wish you two were in charge of children's BBC. It has a U, 2 T's and 3 I's. And here we are in its habitat.
What I'd like, just before we continue, is some sort of deal that you're not going to make the klaxon
The klaxon noise, you don't like that?
Well, I think I'll just jump and it will be nerve-wracking. And I'll jump in your lap. You won't like it.
Okay.
None of it's good.
So what I'll do, if it's... looking for something with a U, 2 T's and 3 I's.
Is it a creature with 3 eyes?
It is a creature. So there's the beginning.
A tuatara.
Tuatara, listen, yes, very well done. It does have 3 eyes. Do you know any more about it? Have you seen one or...?
I have held one, yes.
Right.
It's
at gunpoint.
It does have a sort of a third.
Yes, it has a at the very top of its head. It's what's called a parietal eye, or possibly a pineal eye, but it can't actually see particularly well out of it. Mostly, it can distinguish light and darkness. Phil?
There is a red circle around nothing on that lizard.
This is eye.
QI Trump-like ruse.
It's there.
Where? You can see it there.
Yeah.
That's a freckle.
No, it's not.
Fight!
Right, if that's an eye, is that its old fella?
It doesn't have 6 penises, if that's what you're saying. You know what? The weird thing is, that's his ass. It's got 8 asses.
Yeah. It's gonna upset you, Phil, but most lizards have a third eye, to a greater or lesser extent.
Yeah. You know that.
As do lampreys, lots of frogs.
Oh, I see.
Did you see?
That is an eye.
Yeah,
Yes.
see, there. That's it, there. There it is.
There's an eye right there.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yes.
There's another one there.
Look, I've got one. On the arm there. Unbelievable.
ball.
What's the worst thing you can catch in the office?
Well, I mean, the plague.
You imagine how many days off people had during the plague? People are perfectly all right. Yeah, oh, God, plague. Yeah. Pretty bad, I think.
What, were they just talking to their hands? They were just...
Files disease.
Files disease? Well, in fact, it's bad manners. Bad manners is the thing you're most likely to catch in an office. They did a study in 2015, and acts of rudeness apparently spread around an organisation a bit like a cold. And when rudeness starts, it tends to get worse over the course of a working day. It is the thing
bugger off.
Actually catch bad manners.
Well, apparently what happens is if somebody is rude to you, you are more likely to be rude back. So it is one of the things you are most
Hence
likely
the Nazis and things like that.
Started in an office.
Yeah.
Someone being a little bit impolite. Yeah. Over some filing.
And suddenly they're in Poland.
The next thing...
There is lots of bacteria as well. I mean, they did a study of 33 keyboards in an average office, and one of them had 5 times as many germs as the office toilet seat.
But I'm always a bit worried about those numbers of germs things, because they say the average kitchen worktop has more germs on it than the average loo seat. To which the obvious response is, well, that's obviously broadly fine then. Yeah. Because we're not all dying. We don't go to the kitchen, have one meal and immediately vomit and vomit and vomit.
The toilets are actually quite clean because they are actually cleaned with bleach, which is... I do not think bleach is the perfect product of all time. Because people go to the shops, they buy it, they pour it down the toilet, they flush it away and they go and buy some more. Whoever invented it thought, this is going to make us a fortune. So, Peter, what do you reckon? If you had an all-male office and an all-female office, which one would have more bacteria?
Oh, the male.
Why?
Because they're mankier than us.
So, weirdly, that is the scientific answer. They're dirtier and bigger, so they give off more bacteria.
But are men dirtier per kilogram?
Oh, that's a good question. Deirdre, how dirty are you? And then we'll work it out.
I know that men don't wash their hands after they've been in the toilet.
There you go.
In fact, I was once at Wembley Stadium and I went to wash my hands. And when I got to the sink, there were 3 penises urinated into the sink.
No! On their own? I already know how it works.
They couldn't be bothered to queue for the urinals. They just used the sink where I was trying to wash my hands. And they're here tonight.
Did you ever play the Old Comedy Store in
Yes,
Leicester
I
Square?
played the Old Comedy Store, and the first time I went in the dressing room, Arthur Smith and Paul Merton were in there, and they introduced themselves and into the toilets over there, and it was the sink.
Yeah, so there was just a basin in the corner of the room, and they weren't really expecting girls.
I was just going to say, not much good for us.
No, but, well, Josie Lawrence used to lift me up. Which horny member of royalty is immune from any form of legal prosecution? Yes.
Oh. Prince Andrew.
It's going to be something with horns?
Yes.
Is it like a royal cow or something?
No, there should be,
The
I think.
royal cow.
That's a snail, what you're doing.
Brian from Magic Roundabout.
Hello.
Who was it? Florence and Dougal.
And there was the one who's based on Bob Dylan, the rabbit.
And he was stoned all the time.
Yeah, exactly. It was the 70s. You were allowed to be stoned in a children's cartoon.
Helen, did you say?
Dylan,
Yeah, Dylan, yeah.
Dylan.
Yes, we just said that.
We said that.
That person just woke up.
He's absorbed.
Dylan, I'm talking about Magic Roundabout! Dylan!
The guy's just beginning to get the hang of mind reading.
Mushroom!
Potato!
Come on out, horny member of royalty.
In the context of the occult,
Yes.
who is a horny royal?
The devil.
The devil is exactly right.
You can't prosecute the devil?
No, so, 1970 1991, there was an American called Gerald Mayo attempted to sue the devil, and there is the case. The United States, ex-royal Gerald Mayo versus Satan and his staff. And it was heard by the US District Court for the Western District of Pennsylvania. Mr. Mayo alleged Satan has, on numerous occasions, caused plaintiff misery and unwarranted threats. Against the will of the plaintiff, Satan has placed deliberate obstacles in his path and has caused the plaintiff's downfall. The first point that was raised by the judge, a man called Gerald J. Weber, was that he wasn't sure that they could prosecute Satan, as Satan was technically a foreign prince, and if sued, he might be able to claim immunity.
Surely it's a typo. He meant Stan.
And in the end, they refused his request because nobody could find an address to serve the Satan the papers.
Yes, you have to put it in their hand, don't you? Otherwise it doesn't count.
Yeah.
Wow.
But do you know about the devil's advocate? Do you know about that?
Avocado.
As in being one.
Well, it's a Roman Catholic thing.
Yeah, as in to play devil's advocate.
Well, that's where the phrase comes from, but it used to be a proper job, and it was the job of the devil's advocate to argue the case against proposed sainthood. So his job was to say, this person's going to come up to be a saint. I don't think it's a good idea. It was got rid of by Pope John Paul II in 1983, and the number of saints just shot through the roof. Right, I'd like you to act out the opening scene of the classic film All Together Passionately.
Sorry, am I on the wrong show?
Yes. I'm happy to do it as long as I can go on top.
I think you should speak to Josh.
As long as you've got a cushion, I'm fine with it.
Anybody know? All Together Passionately?
It's
Great
not
film.
ringing any bells.
It is the Italian name, I will tell you, for a very famous film. Tutti insieme appassionatamente.
I'll be honest, if anything, I'm further away from the answer.
OK, if I do this...
Passion of the Christ.
No, and I'm twirling around on top of an Austrian mountain.
Sound of Music.
Sound of Music. It is the Italian name.
Is there an Italian phrase for the sound of music?
Apparently that's what they called it, All Together Passionately.
Oh, no. That sounds like a film you wouldn't watch on a train.
Do you watch a lot of films on trains?
Lots of them. You have
oh,
to
yes, because you don't fly, so you spend your life on a train.
So you have to be very careful sometimes if you have a film with a bit of...
naughtiness.
Naughtiness.
Ooh. Yeah.
You have to turn it to the window.
Does anybody here cry at movies on planes that you wouldn't normally cry at? Like Paul Blart, Mall Cop? I mean, floods. Not even the movie, sometimes it's a credit card ad. Like, oh my God, she lost her credit. Oh, she got it back. Oh, thank God. So many emotions to handle in one commercial.
Well, here's the thing about The Sound of Music. It was so popular in South Korea when it was first released. One theatre owner in Seoul made the film shorter by cutting out all the musical numbers. He could show it more often.
Do you know, I've never seen it.
Oh, Josh.
Oh, really? Never?
You never see the... You are 16 going on 17.
Yeah, it's like that, but with a tune. And... I was once lucky enough to meet Julie Andrews. It's the only time in my entire life I've been completely speechless.
Because she wouldn't shut up.
She just kept asking me what my favourite things were. It's very annoying.
Do you like them tied up with string? I bet you do, girl. I bet you do. What's a deer? What's a female deer? Come on, leave me alone. Do you want to see the goat herd? It wasn't me singing. High on the hill. I'm Maria. I'll be back with you. I'm Maria. Shut up, Julie. God.
I'll be honest.